Vegas Pro 19 is out and ready to wow us. I talked with Gary Rebholz, product owner of Magic's Vegas Creative Software, and Sumit Rai, the chief product officer on the Vegas Creative Software team. We took a deep dive into all the new features, well, most of them anyway, including cloud-based media management, collaboration using their hub, royalty-free stock footage, tutorials, and music available directly in your NLE, captioning, scene detection, Blackmagic Raw, timecode tagging, notes, color tools, text-to-speech. That's one of my favorite. Text-to-speech in many languages, and we demo it on this interview, and so much more. Please don't forget to rate us, subscribe, and leave a review. You can listen to our show on any of your favorite podcatchers, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, etc. Thanks to OWC for sponsoring these conversations. And then a big thank you to all our fans out there. We appreciate you. Stand by. Vegas Pro 19 coming right up.
It's time for OWC Radio. Tech Talk with Creatives. Conversations with host Serena Catania.
Can you tell us, for the people in around the world who are listening or will be listening, what is Vegas Pro for those who don't use it? A lot of people do use it, and they're very loyal. Because people, once they start on Vegas Pro, they're very, very loyal. But for those who don't know what it is, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Vegas Pro started out its life, surprisingly enough, as a digital audio workstation. The first version of Vegas Pro didn't feature any video editing at all. It was strictly a multi-track recording, editing, and mixing for audio. And that grew out of, at the time, the company that invented the software was an audio company. And so it grew out of the customers of that company wanting a multi-track audio tool. Well, what they didn't know is that from the very beginning, while we were creating this multi-track audio tool, we were building in video editing tools under the hood. And it really took we took an approach of editing video like an audio editor would edit audio. And that made Vegas quite different than anything else on the market. The second version of Vegas Pro introduced video editing tools, but it also introduced compositing tools. And it also included, at the time, extremely robust for the time encoding and transcoding tools. All of that stuff built right in and is still there, and we've just grown it from there. Now the video editing aspect of the software is what really caught fire and took off. We do still have a lot of users that use just the audio tools in it for recording and mixing audio, but the video editing tools are what has really driven the product for the last 10, 15 years or more, 20 years.
You know, I had this conversation yesterday with somebody that even if you work primarily in audio, your business is primarily audio related, you still have to involve yourself in video, because how are you going to market yourself on a global level without using video? I think there was a statistic I read, I don't know, maybe a year ago, that said that 75% of the American businesses were planning on spending a large portion of their marketing budget on video. So, we're there.
That's just the thing. What we recognized at the time, way back, late 90s, previous century, is that...
No, don't say it like that. Oh, come on. Now I'm feeling really old. Okay.
Well, we were just
previous
babies.
Century.
We were just babies back then. But what we realized is that our customers that were audio-based customers were quickly developing an interest in making music videos. And so one of the original ideas of Vegas Pro was, well, if they're going to do their audio recording and mixing and so forth in our tool, why shouldn't they just be able to also throw their video on there and create a video for their songs? And that was one of the kernels of the idea of putting video in. And you're exactly right that from that, it's grown. Well, now it's not just musicians who need video, it's everybody who needs video, because you're going to have your YouTube channel, or you're going to have your Instagram channel, or your TikTok, or whatever it is. And for your social media presence, you have to have video. And so it was a very forward-looking decision at the time, which nobody necessarily knew we were making at the time, but it really ended up to be a fortuitous decision. It's really grown from there.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, you have a loyal following. So let's jump into the new features. What is this version number called, first of all? Do we have a version number? What are we calling it?
It is, the current version is Vegas Pro 19, and I think I'm going to hand it over to you, Sumit, to talk first about some of the hub-related features that we have in there, because that's really a major pivot point for us in this version. And Sumit is the driving force behind that hub presence, and I think you're perfect to talk about that first.
And Sumit, actually, you're fairly new to the company, because I don't believe you and Gary were working together when I interviewed him the last time. How did you guys meet? And then we're going to get back into the hub. But how did you meet? How did all this come about? Because it seems like you're doing some great things together.
Yeah, so my background before this was working in streaming, in video streaming, so enterprise content management. So large organization hosting thousands of videos across their estate and then distributing them internally out to clients and so on and so forth. And I've been doing that from before YouTube was a thing, before Netflix was a thing.
There you go, making me feel old again. Stop.
And
Stop.
And what I was really sort of, it was obvious that the whole distribution had moved on to IP, but production was still very, very traditional. I mean, it hasn't moved a huge amount. So we moved from tape to solid state. That's definitely happened. But realistically, the editing tools aren't dissimilar to what they were in the past, but the people who are using them are different. And what was really obvious to us was that, you've got the Hollywood market and, the high-end television market, and you have people who use video for the wedding photographers, that's that world, and that hasn't changed a huge amount. But what has changed is this unbelievable explosion in people who are creating content and then distributing it themselves. And that's the YouTube world. It's the TikTok world at the simplest end. It's Vimeo. It's organizations as well. It's not just end users. It's the fact that how many companies have become content creators in their own right as part of their marketing story, as part of their product story. And so we know that the users are changing. And because those users are changing, the way they create content is different. They don't have the same luxuries that the high-end world has. No. And they have maybe contribution of content coming from all over the world. They're not out shooting every single piece. Part of the reason why the stock footage market has exploded is because people there's just a lot more demand for people to get hold of stuff, as an example. So when I came into Magic, so for me it was a dream. I've worked in production to some extent all my life, and I was never a huge Vegas user myself, but I had a lot of respect for the platform. I've seen how it's grown over the years, and there's something to be said. If a platform stays with a huge active user group for a long period of time, there's something about that platform that makes sense. And the best opportunities that Vegas is able to be more nimble potentially than some of the other players. And so when Gary and I came together, we sat down right at the beginning and we were like, okay, what do we do well? What do people love about what we do? But where's the market going, and what do we need to do to make what we create valid for the industry that is actually already here, but the one that is really growing?
Right.
So Hollywood and television, it gets bigger every year, but nothing like the percentage of growth within the content creators market.
I agree.
Within
totally agree.
Individual users, whether it's people who are doing a YouTube channel promoting their own little business, or whether it's people whose actual YouTube channel is their business. And what we're seeing is, and what's so lovely about it is, it's democratizing the accessibility to create content, because there are people with channels that would never have been commissioned by a news network or by a television network. And all of a sudden, it turns out that they're really popular. Most of the financial services news is moving away from the big channels, and it's moving towards even YouTubers.
Yeah.
The niche interests market, the maker market, is a market that's grown out of nowhere that would never have been given the airtime on traditional television. But it turns out there's a whole bunch of people who love it. And there's no bigger industry that's grown up in the last 5 years than esports and Let's Play, and people actually producing entertainment. And anybody who doesn't realize that the biggest broadcasters out there now, the people with the most viewings, are the PewDiePies, it is the Joe Rogan online, but it doesn't have to be attached to a television network. Internet delivery can be and will be a way bigger thing in the future.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're starting to get our screeners now. And I was going through them this morning, and most of them are from Netflix and Amazon. There's some from Warner Brothers and some from independents, but the large majority of the CDs that are coming in, or the DVDs rather, that are coming in are from the streamers. And then, of course, you get your package with your code and you can go in. It just seems like everything's changing. But Gary, you were asking Sumit to address the hub. What did you mean by that? Can we get back to that?
Sure. So again, when we sat down and we said, okay, what is it that people are missing in what we provide today? And there were a couple of things. One is that we wanted to provide people with immediate access to online resources that they didn't have to go hunt for. So one of the first things we did was, as part of Vegas Hub, which is a section within Vegas Pro, we added stock content for our subscription customers. So we provide over 1 million videos and nearly 1 million audio tracks. And that's just instantly accessible. They're fully licensed. You can use them in anything you want, distribute that over the internet, distribute it in a cinema or in a film in perpetuity with no fear of repercussions for the usage, etc. So
and
we were like,
comes
okay,
with your Vegas Pro license, or is that
it does with a subscription, with any of our
with your
subscription licenses.
Okay.
So that was the first thing we said, okay, this makes sense. The second thing we thought, which is just a really simple usage, but it's something which is going to grow to be bigger, is that what about if we helped people get content from the various devices that they have into the edit suite quickly? And we all know the story. You put a hard drive in the post, or you send something with WeTransfer, or if you have something on your phone, it's remarkably hard to get it onto the edit suite. So we built something that called Vegas Hub. Initially was really about the management of the file sharing. And we said, okay, let's start with mobile. So we built a mobile application, and that application allows you to literally just upload anything that's on your phone. You're signed in already to your Vegas user account, and then immediately from within Vegas, that all of those assets are available. And just that simple step, and they're more importantly, they're available in the native file format the camera captured, your mobile device captured. And that sounds silly. It's just that almost all methods of getting a video off your phone ends up transcoding and degrading that video. So now you have perfect HEVC captured straight out of an iPhone, or a high-end MP4 captured out of an Android device, and it's straight into your timeline. So you're getting the full frame rate, the full resolution, the full fat files, and really, really easily. And that's the beginning of our play. We're currently working on something called File Drop, where I could send you a link. Because if you've got to get some assets over to me, you could say, okay, well, I put a hard drive in the post, or I send you a thumb drive, or we use WeTransfer, or we use something else. But actually, I can just issue you a link. You can go straight to that link, upload your files. Thank you very much. I get a notification. They're immediately available within my project. So it's a great thing as we begin to work more with freelancers, as we begin to work more with people around the world. So we've been using this between Gary and I to transfer media around, because, he's over in Wisconsin, I'm in London. We're working on little productions together, just as the day-to-day of our business, the how-to videos and internal videos to the staff and things like this. And it's like, well, actually, it's really easy now for us to transfer media to each other. And we're going to grow that and expand that. And the future for Vegas Hub is that we can collaborate more in real time together. We can work in a work group. And it's not that other editing products don't have work group tools, but they're really designed for LANs and they're designed for large production companies. But actually, what about those content creators who are just working with 2 or 3 other people or 4 people? And those people are all over the place. So that was really a big part of what drove Vegas Hub. We added the content, we added the file sharing. We're now putting out just tips and tricks. We're putting out a video content within that same place, so you can go there as a knowledge tool. We've got giveaways, which we're putting in there, LUTs or other things which people can use in their projects. We're just working on example projects. We've got a beautiful project built by one of our really high-end users who we're able to now use as an example project. And we'll be adding more and more of those. So people can actually download the whole project, the whole timeline, see what it is that a professional did to grade something, or what effects they use, how they use them, because that's a great learning tool for all the new users who are joining. There are more people became video editors or use video editing software in the last month than probably at all point in time up until the year 2000. It's clearly growing at such a big rate. And where do they learn? Well, of course, they're learning from YouTube, but if we can help them with the assets and make that journey easier, then let's do that. So Vegas Hub for us is it's a part of Vegas within the software, straight within the user interface, that immediately gives you access to stuff that's hosted elsewhere, whether that's part of your day-to-day workflow or it's stuff that we can give you to make your journey easier.
So Gary, make me feel better about the cloud. How's this working with the cloud? So you're sending each other links. I'm assuming that you have a repository for the projects, the Vegas Pro projects in the cloud, and you transfer the media there. How's the pipeline working? Because that's always what I worry about these big files.
Yeah, if I can grab that question, because it's more of my side.
That's your baby.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a number of things we've done. We've backed all the infrastructure onto Microsoft Azure, so we're really confident that the storage of it, the security around it, and the availability of it is absolutely top notch. And in the time that we've been running it so far, but also my own personal experience running it, this organization like this for 12 years. We're confident that that's there, it's robust, and it works incredibly well. In terms of file transfer, I think the story has changed so much in the last 10 years and even more in the last 20 years where, I sit on a gigabit connection in my house. A lot of people are moving more towards that. And there's one thing we can be sure of is that it's only going to get faster. It's not going backwards for sure. Mm-hmm. It's only going to get faster. We are exploring different technologies that allow file transfer to work faster. And that is important because the traditional file transfer is obviously there's a lot of overhead involved in it. And there are some techniques that we can begin to utilize that will make the file transfer happen faster. It is still a problem for an uncompressed 4K, 444, high-end raw file. It isn't necessarily the right workflow. But certainly for people who are shooting on anything that's long cop compressed, anything that's an MP4 based content, it's really not that. But it takes, even if it sounds horrendous, it's going to take 20 hours to upload all the rushes in the project. Well, guess what? A courier is going to take 3 days. So, it's not a big deal.
Absolutely. So how much storage is included with the subscription?
So we have the other thing that we did with Vegas 19, which was, other than the repositioning of our product to support creators, we reduced 13 different product SKUs down to 3, Edit, Pro, and Post. Edit is totally focused at the content creator. It's the YouTuber. It's the entry into our the Vegas world. It's for gamers. It's for streamers. It's for people like that. Vegas Pro is more for the professional documentary maker or people who are, let's say, monetizing their actual production. It comes with Primat from Boris, so you're getting, Academy nominated Chroma Key, which is we know that for a lot of our users has become a big thing. Again, it goes in phases, but Chroma Key's back in fashion for sure. And it comes with our streaming tool, Vegas Stream, that we partnered with New Blue for. And Vegas Post comes with our image editing and effects and sort of motion graphics product. And Pro and Post also come with SoundForge, which is from our parent company, Magix. It's a wonderful tool to repair audio. And when you have a subscription, you can buy each of those 3 SKUs either in as a perpetual one-off license, or you can subscribe to them. And when you subscribe to them, that's when you get Vegas Hub. And what we've done with the storage is it starts at 20 gigabytes for the edit user, it's 50 for the Pro user, and 100 for the Post user. And we will be releasing upgrades so you can purchase more into that. So
if you buy a perpetual license, do you get all of the upgrades to the program in
just within the lifespan of Vegas 19?
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
and you do get, and sorry, to be clear, even the perpetual user does get access to some of the giveaways. Vegas Hub is accessible to them, but not the stock content. Right. Not another tool that we've added in Vegas content, which is speech synthesis. So you can upload text and it will synthesize the audio for you, which is really powerful for people, especially when they're using translations, because we have a multi-language version of that. So it will take your written English or any written language and it will translate it not only to another language, but then voice it in that language, which is really powerful for people who are working in multiple territories.
So are you talking about using it specifically for voiceovers or for actual text-based editing off those transcripts?
No, it's for voiceovers. So okay. It's another feature awesome. It's a really powerful feature of Vegas Hub. It's gone down really well. And we tested it with a lot of people. A lot of people cannot tell it's synthesized audio.
Yeah, it's getting better, isn't it? We've been playing around a little bit with it here. But I like the idea that I could write something and have someone voice it in French or German or Japanese, or depending on where we're sending the information. How does Vegas Pro handle captioning? I've been working with the deaf community a lot lately, and this is a little off topic, but I'm wondering how captioning works using Vegas Pro.
Gary, you know that better than I do.
Yeah, the software has a full suite of captioning tools, closed captioning tools. Without going into a whole lot of technical detail, it's essentially as simple as adding a marker to your timeline and then entering the text that you want to appear as a closed caption. Fully supporting 608 and 608 uplift to 708 at this point.
Awesome.
There's also any variety of subtitling, using just regular text that you could do, and the closed captioning tools are fully editable. You can import, export, do everything you need to do to them. You can change captions into subtitles or so forth. So it's actually a very robust captioning tool set in there.
That's awesome. Wow, there's so much stuff here. I don't even know what to ask you next.
Well, then let me follow up on a couple of things that Sumit said, just so you have kind of a full understanding of
thank you.
The hub stuff. He spent a lot of time talking about the hub and what happens up there in the cloud. But the other thing that's critical to understand that Sumit mentioned a couple of times, but kind of rolled past, let me talk about it a little bit more. That all of this stuff that's going on up in the hub is fully integrated in your local Vegas Pro client, right, on your desktop. We've added 2 new windows to Vegas Pro. One of them is called the Vegas Hub window, which is essentially a portal to your Vegas Hub that includes all the giveaway content, the Vegas content, downloadable stock footage, the mobile upload access, all that stuff is available right through the Vegas Hub window. When you download all that stuff, so let's take the workflow that Sumit talked about, where I've got my mobile device and I've shot some video. I use the mobile app to send it up to the hub. Well, instead of going through a whole bunch of crazy machinations to try to get it down from the hub, then onto my machine, then into my software, I just open another window in Vegas Pro that we've created called the Vegas Hub Explorer window. and that's just a direct line and like a Windows Explorer into the files that I have on my hub. I can go look at them right on without ever leaving my project, look at what's up in my hub, say, yeah, that's the one I want. I can check quickly to see if I've ever downloaded it and have it locally. If I haven't, I download it. Once it's downloaded, I put it straight into my timeline. So really, it's such a seamless workflow when you've got something up in your hub space. You never leave Vegas Pro to deal with it. You just go get it, and it's just like it was on your local drive all along. And so that's a really key component, and that's sort of where Sumit's kind of cloud vision and big vision of where that's all going meets my more boots on the ground. How does the user actually access this cool stuff that's up there? That's awesome. And that's where I work with my local dev team. Well, I say local. They're, of course, now we're all remote and they're spread all over the place. But my Vegas Pro dev team, that's where we figure out how do we hook into that hub stuff that's up there in the cloud, and it's really a nice and seamless integration. And Sumit kind of we started with just this mobile thing where you can upload. It turns out, oddly enough, that is such a huge accomplishment, because the pain of taking a video from your phone to your timeline is something every editor knows and is frustrated by. And we've literally taken the pain completely out of that process. You push a button on your mobile, it goes up, you go to your Vegas Hub Explorer window in Vegas Pro, you look at it, you bring it down, it's on your timeline, and you're going. It's just a no hassle, really easy workflow. And so that's what makes it.
Res file.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes it the full round trip. And that's what's kind of cool about having Sumit come on board a little over a year ago now, is he has this great understanding of how that all works up in the cloud. And I have a pretty good understanding of how it all works locally within the Vegas Pro app, because of my connection over the years with Vegas Pro and my working so closely with the dev team. And together, we've had many conversations. Well, how do we bring those things together? And we've if I do say so myself, we've done a really nice job of making that whole workflow seamless and painless. So
this is almost a one-stop shop. You've gotten rid of a lot of the third-party apps with all these integrations you've built in here with your partners. I mean, you have you've got audio, you've got effects, you've got your imaging, you've got streaming. I mean, this is pretty cool. There's a mobile app too, which you were just talking about. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, there's really not a lot to it. I mean, it's as easy as you open the mobile app, you say, I want to upload a file. It takes you to a browser where you point to the file that you shot on your phone. You say, that's the file I want. You mark it, you push an upload button, and you're done with the mobile app. That's all there is to it. Once you've uploaded it, then the rest happens in Vegas Pro Timeline and the Vegas Pro Hub Explorer window. So it doesn't sound like much, because there's really not that much to the mobile app. It's just a beautiful way of getting your footage from the mobile device up to the cloud, where you can then drag it down.
I'm happy with that.
And so that's what I'm saying.
Not a big friend of AirDrop.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that it when you describe it, it seems like, when you first look at the app, it's like, oh, there's not much to it. Well, there's not much that you have to learn, but there's a whole lot to it. Just the fact that you can pull it up off your phone, straight up there and straight back down, that's huge. Mm-hmm.
One thing, and I haven't seen the app yet, so I don't know exactly how it works. I would love to see better naming conventions between what's on your phone and what ends up in the timeline. The way your phone names files for an editor, for a producer, for a story editor, it's really confusing. They have to all be renamed at the Finder level. It would be kind of nice if those phones would let you put them into an album and do a batch rename before you even load it up. Anyway, that's a feature request.
or even just adding metadata on the fly is another one that we've been looking at. Is how do we part of this whole hub thing is of course media management, and how do we start to manage not only the files in your current project, but how do you then have access to everything on an ongoing basis.
Exactly.
And that's another thing which obviously traditionally metadata has been very functional. It's been the real number and the tape number and the day and the camera and maybe some technical. But actually, with what we're working on now, in the same way as speech-to-speech synthesis is the other way around, being able to actually at least convert any of the audio in the videos to a track that could be searched and so on and so forth, giving you just a lot more clarity around, finding bits in content and things like that.
And your media in the cloud defaults to the high-res original version, right? Because I know and I found this out the hard way, it never occurred to me that the Apple iCloud would require you to tell them when you download each file that you want it at the original resolution, otherwise it compresses it.
Right, and that's one thing that was really important to us is we've almost made the assumption the other way around. I think and it's not just Apple iCloud, I think Dropbox does it and everyone else does it. They transcode on the way to make your life easier. And we can understand that if you're just transferring a little video that you've shot of your new car to send to 20 friends, we can all understand that. But in the case of us and what we're doing is we're in the production game, which means that, quality is paramount. And so for us, it's almost the other way around. We insist that it takes the native files and works with them. And of course, once it's on the timeline and you export your project, that's when it gets crushed down for delivery over the internet or wherever. But Up until that point, we like to keep the workflow at full res all the way through.
That's good news.
At the same time, there are a lot of cases where, there's good reason why everybody's trying to compress your footage for you, right? So you can use it properly, or not properly, but use it, move it around and so forth.
Efficiently.
Yeah. But there is a piece that is to be said for a smaller file size, a compressed file. And what we do is once you've got it down, the full res version that you've got it down, then Vegas gives you the option to work with that in full res or create proxy files, work at it as lower resolution, and then swap back out later. So you've got a complete proxy workflow. There's actually a couple of different ways you can do proxy workflows. And for files that are over 4K, we do some intelligent proxying for you so that you don't have to make those decisions. So it's exactly right. We wanted to maintain full res the whole way, but there are times when you may need to work temporarily with a lower resolution proxy file, and we make that very easy for you as well.
That's nice. At least the metadata will match. You'll be able to find things and go right back to your full res when you need it. Exactly. I just like the idea of controlling the resolution myself. I like to know what I have and where it goes, and I don't want a cloud application automatically compressing something and then it be a surprise. And the first time it happened to me, I did something, I was in a hurry, and I downloaded some media, and I went, oh, it's downloaded. I'm trying to clear out that cloud account, deleted the media that was in the cloud, and then realized that it had been compressed, and there I was, stuck. Yep. So obviously, I have to follow my own advice, and luckily I did have redundant copies on a hard drive somewhere else, so I was okay, but I found that a little bit shocking. So this is all really great news. I love the idea that you have all of this stock. Is it video or images as well? Stills and video?
It's video and audio.
Video and audio. That's wonderful. Yep. So like audio effects or?
And music.
And music. Wow. That's really nice.
So this is Vegas Hub within Vegas. In terms of Vegas content, it really is as simple as me going here and, give me something that we need to add to your next video. Give me a search. Mm-hmm. What would you like? What should we look for?
Search for, what do we got there? Search for music, orchestral music.
So these are all the video files. I've got 500 that I could say, all right, well, maybe this is useful as a video piece. I'll come to the audio bit in a second. And we say, okay, that's nice. I like that. I'm going to take the video from there. So That's cool.
Oh, you're inspiring me. I'm thinking about an introduction to a video I'm working on now. Okay.
And then I can do the same for here. So I could go into my categories, for example, and I could say, okay, well, let's go with orchestral. There we go. There's a whole genre of it, 4,000. But you can preview as many of them as you want. And it's great. The selection is huge. I mean, 4,000. And of course, we can say, you know what, we want something fast, right? Let's go 135 BPM. So we go. And I say, well, look, that's interesting. I'll use that MP3.
And it's visual. It's thumbnails. It's not just a list of names, which is very helpful because we're all visual. You know, if you edit, you're a visual person by nature, and that's very helpful.
It can be either. You can also sort it as a list,
right?
If you work that way.
Well, you guys have really put some good thought into this.
So now I've got my video piece, which I, downloaded, and I've got my audio that I've conveniently fitting very nicely into the video piece. But of course, Vegas is obviously very fully featured, and we can do a whole bunch more. And one of the things that we've done before, as you know, is we bundle with a lot of other products, so we could very easily have, a piece of content that we've also got out of our library from here. We support, as I think I mentioned before, things like professional chroma key with Boris. So that works as well, and you get the whole regular plugins and effects and open effects and all the sorts of tools that you would ever need to build a complicated timeline. But at the same time, you've got access in Vegas Hub to all of these resources that you need. So you have, for example, the how-tos, a library full of how to do things.
I really like the fact that you can go from the hub and see, I'm seeing Vegas content, what's new, giveaways, how-tos, expansion packs, community, my profile, and then upgrade if you want to do that. And this is great. So now you're saying that the music that you have here is licensed for broadcast in perpetuity?
In perpetuity forever. As long
and
as
it comes with your license for Vegas Pro.
And and even if you stop your license, you still have the rights to use that forever.
That's good to know, because at that point you can't change it.
Yes.
That would be, and that has happened to people, however, who have not negotiated the proper rights ahead of time, and then they've cut the piece and they've sold it, and the attorneys on the other side find out they don't have all worldwide rights in perpetuity, and it becomes a big problem. Gary, when we talked, a year ago now, or has it been longer than that?
It's been a little longer than a year, I believe. Yeah. Well,
the reason I'm saying that is I'm looking at all of this and I'm thinking this is a lot of work in a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah. We did have some of the structure of this stuff in place even before Sumit joined us. But it was all kind of back-end stuff, and it was all kind of, an idea that hadn't been fully formed. Sumit came on and really put some concrete thought into what should happen next. All the stuff that you're seeing there on the screen is all stuff that Sumit has developed in conjunction with the team that works the hub since he's been here. So there was a lot of back-end stuff that was already sort of in place. He put the front-end stuff on it and really put a direction to it. And then, like I said, my team of developers then put the local pieces together. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm not trying to undersell the amount of work that went into this. It is a lot of work to have accomplished in a year, and we're very proud of that.
It is.
And I think just one more thing which would be worth showing is let's say we went for let's take your About Us that's here. This is where the real power again of Vegas Hub, and one of the features that's in it, which is the text-to-speech component. So if I put that in there, we'll just remove the bracketed, and I picked, as my favorite one is the UK Sonia, and I hit, for example, insert here. what it would do is go off and synthesize that. And now, and I'm just going to reduce the audio a little bit so we can hear the voiceover. But now you get this.
Otherworld Computing, founded in 1988, is dedicated to helping Mac and PC enthusiasts do more and reach higher. We create and deliver the best storage, connectivity.
And so that's pretty good, right?
That's wonderful.
And the nice thing about it is, again, as I mentioned, you could say, well, maybe we have a German audience for our YouTube channel. We need a German version of each of the videos. You could just press that. It'll go off, translate. And then we could say, right, well, let's insert there.
To be clear, he's moving the English out of the way, but he could have put the German on another track and muted the English, and then you'd have both of them in place, and you can switch back and forth between them. In fact, you could put them both in the same timeline clip event and switch back and forth between the takes.
Right.
True.
When you output, you're going to want to turn off one of the tracks and then output it with German, turn it back on, output it with English. French,
and if you would add it as a take, you don't even need to disable the track. You just change the take that's in the timeline clip event.
Yeah,
it's a really slick operation.
So this is how it sounds voiced in German.
Otherworld Computing wurde 1988 gegründet und hat es sich zur Aufgabe gemacht, Mac- und PC-Enthusiasten dabei zu helfen.
And it's really accurate. You know, it is going to get better. And of course, because all of this is run from the cloud, all of this is just continually being, upgraded behind the scenes. And it just gets better every time you use it.
Yep. Das ist eine ganz gute Version.
Ja, genau.
No, this is, what I really like about this is that I don't have to search all around for all these solutions and figure out where to go to get them and then do it offline and then bring it into the project. I can create just about everything I need to right here. I'm looking here. You also have something called automatic scene detection.
Yeah, sure. That is not a cloud based operation, but now you're into sort of the local client. Essentially, what that does is just what the name implies. If you've got a mixed file, so you put together a project, and now you've got a 5-minute long project that has all these different camera angles or scenes or whatever, you can run our automatic scene detection feature, and it'll go through and cut all of those scenes into separate timeline clip events. Now you have them on your timeline as separate events. You can swap them around, edit them however you see fit. It'll detect straight cuts. It'll detect fades. It'll detect cross dissolves. It's very nice, a very powerful little feature.
And you've solved another thing, the Blackmagic Raw. Seems like you've got that in beta now.
Yep,
that's good news.
Yeah, and we still call it a beta because we're not, we haven't implemented it to the extent that we want to implement, but it actually works quite well right now, and you can work with your Blackmagic Raw files on the timeline.
That's awesome. So you don't have to use Blackmagic's solution there and then bring it back in. You can do it right from Vegas Pro.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I've shot a lot of Blackmagic Raw, and I'm always having to go outside of the NLE to convert it and then bring it back into the timeline. This is great.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the feature requests that we've been hearing loud and clear for over the past year.
Yeah,
and so it became one of our main priorities after the release of the previous version of Vegas Pro. That was one of our main priorities, and so we worked hard on that for Vegas Pro 19.
And Grant's really happy with you for that, isn't he?
I'm sure.
Or does he? I'm sure he is. More people are going to use it.
Yeah,
this is great. I mean, tell me about timecode tagging for your project notes.
Sure. In conjunction with all this hub stuff that's happening, what we've shown you with the hub features so far is just the beginning, and we have a lot more planned as far as collaborative workflows and cloud, all the stuff that could happen in the cloud. But again, we have local pieces of that, and so we've implemented a notes window in Vegas Pro. And essentially what this notes window enables you to do is to add a new note at whatever time in your timeline. So now Sumit's cursor, you can see, is sitting at 38 seconds in the timeline. He has clicked the add a new note button there, and now he's got a note that's tagged with the date and timestamp as well as the time code in the project. He can add whatever he wants to that note. And so maybe he and I are working and he's doing an edit and I'm reviewing the edit. And so I add a note that says, hey, fix this problem at 38 seconds, 15 frames. That then becomes part of my project, and he can go through and read my notes, or they'll come up automatically as he's playing through the timeline. And as he hits a new note, the note comes up. He can say, oh, Gary wants this, a little color correction here. And he can do that and then resolve the note. He can leave a note back to me with a label that says, this is a note from Sumit. It's a collaboration tool. And you've got the timeline of the note, and you can do a couple of different things. If your timeline cursor doesn't match the position of your note timeline, you can click a button that will take your timeline cursor to the timeline of the note. But you can do it the other way around too. If you have a note and the note's time code is different than the timeline cursor's time code, you can say update the time code of this note to match the current timeline cursor position. So I guess that's a little confusing to hear it. It makes a whole lot more sense when you see it, but it's just a way to tie in these notes that you leave either for yourself or for a collaborator, and then have come up as you do your edit. Now, the cool thing about this is we're still in the baby steps of this too, the beginning stages of this, but eventually we hope to be able to tie this notes window in with the hub. So imagine a future where you may have a web form in front of you, and Sumit says, oh, hey, I've shared this rough edit with you. You go up to the hub location that he gives you. You watch that video, and then you have a notes form, and you type your notes as you go along, and then you say, okay, I'm done reviewing. Then I come into my Hub Explorer and I see, oh, there are new notes that you've left for me. I press that button; those download into this window, and then all the notes that you made while you were reviewing are now live in my project and will appear as I'm editing through my project. So it's really a collaboration tool. It can be used as a tool for yourself to make notes for yourself, but it's going to be a collaboration tool as well in the future.
Well, I think you're going to save people some money on Frame.io subscriptions.
Well,
am I going to get in trouble for saying that?
No, I mean, look, we're well aware that there are solutions out there. It's the same with our color grading panel. We've got a really robust color grading panel that we've implemented over the past couple of versions. Now, we know that our notes window and the collaboration tools that we build are probably not going to displace Frame.io. And we know that our color correction, our color grading tools that Sumit is showing you right now are not going to displace the DaVinci Resolve, top of the line color grading tools. But our goal is to say, look, those tools are super robust, but for 80% of the people, for 80% of what they need to do, they don't want to go to another piece of software to do it. Right. Let's give them the 80% tools right here in Vegas Pro, so they never have to leave their Vegas Pro project. So will we replace Frame.io? No, we're not naive enough to think that we're going to knock them off. We don't even want to knock them off, right? We just want to give our customers a level of tools that'll let them get most of what they need to do done within the application. There are going to be times when they have to go to Frame.io. There are going to be times where they have to go to DaVinci Resolve to do their color grading. We're trying to have not a us or them mentality, right? There are a lot of tools out there, and they're great tools. We don't deny that there are great competitors out there, and there are times when you're going to want to use those competitors. But the longer we can keep you in Vegas Pro without you having to go use those competitors, the better we serve you as a customer. And that's what the goal is.
Absolutely. Well, I think you're reaching it. This is really all good news. Where do people go to get Vegas Pro, and what are the different, can you talk about the different price points?
Sure. So everything is available through our website, which is vegascreativesoftware.com. And as I said, you can still buy everything we do as perpetual, or you can buy it as a subscription. And whether it's perpetual or subscription, everything comes in 3 flavors. There's Edit, Pro, and Post. From the subscription perspective, we're currently got a 20% offer off, but ordinarily it's $12.99 a month for a Vegas Edit. It's regularly $19.99 a month for Vegas Pro, and it's regularly $29.99 for Vegas Post per month if you're buying it on an annualized basis. If you're buying it as a new purchase, then Vegas Edit is $249, Vegas Pro is $399, and Vegas Post is $599.
Congratulations. I'm really glad I talked to you about all of this because you've clarified a lot of the questions that I have. And I think this is very good news for everyone. Is this available in this fashion now? So people can go on
Correct.
the website and they can get it now. This is awesome. Well,
Yeah, and there's also a free 30-day trial version that has most of what we've talked about here. Of course, you won't have access to a hub storage in the trial version, but you'll be able to poke around at all these tools and get a good sense for it.
I have been talking with Gary Rebholz. He's the product owner of Magix and Vegas Creative Software, and Sumit Rai, the Chief Product Officer of Vegas Creative Software Team. I'm Serena Catania with OWC Radio, and I want to thank everybody for listening and thank OWC, Larry O'Connor and his team over there for sponsoring this show so that we can give you guys great information like this. And remember what I tell you every show, get up off your chair and go do something wonderful today. I'm going to sign off and thank you both again for being here with us. Have a great day.
Thank you, Serena. It's good to talk to you again.
Thank you. Great to talk to you.